You didn't get here by accident. You crossed deserts nobody saw, cried tears nobody counted, and stood in winds that screamed quit. While you whispered not today, you kept walking. You learned how to hold your balance when the ground moved under you. You learned how to breathe underwater when the season felt like a flood. And even when you didn't feel strong, you were faithful. That's rarer than strength. Strength can be loud. Faithfulness is quiet, stubborn, unglamorous, relentless. It refuses to bow to mood swings or headlines. It outlasts shame, outthinks fear, and outlives doubt. If you're here, it's because something in you won't let you settle. You can hear the call beneath the noise. Not a shout, more like a steady heartbeat. You know what I'm talking about. That inner pulse that says there's more to build, more to heal, more to become. It never really goes away. It hides when life grows busy, but it never dies. It's why ordinary never fits for long. It's why rooms that feel safe also feel small. It's why every time you tried to shrink to make others comfortable, something sacred inside you refused. Lean in, because what's about to unfold is not hype. It's not cotton candy motivation that dissolves at contact with reality. This is the hard, bright edge of truth. The trials you survived were not random. The timing you hated was not wasted. And the pressure that felt unfair was forging precision in you that comfort could never teach. The invisible upgrades installed while you were grieving, rebuilding, showing up, will pay dividends you can't yet calculate. You can trace it in moments. The day you kept your word when it would have been easier to vanish. The night you apologized first. The morning you said, "Today we start again." The week you stuck to the plan, even while the results mocked you. That is how people become unshakable. Not by skipping storms, but by learning how to sail through them. You collected skills in silence. Patience that can hold tension without snapping. Discernment that separates signals from static. Courage that whispers go without asking for crowds. Here's the promise. None of that is going to waste. You are at a hinge. A hinge is where doors swing, where hallways end and vistas begin, where the old map falls short and the new map arrives with fresh landmarks. You will recognize this hinge by 3 signs. Clarity that lands in sentences you can actually write down. Opportunities that fit your design instead of distorting it. And a peace that sits in your chest like a lighthouse. Steady, bright, and unbothered by waves. Don't apologize for this moment. You paid for it in full. Receive it. Before we go deeper, mark the moment. Not for the algorithm. Though yes, that helps push this to someone holding on by a thread. But for you, leave 777 in the comments as a timestamp. Your own breadcrumb trail. People forget when the tide turned. Don't forget, this is the minute you decided to steward what pain taught you instead of resenting the teacher. Hit like if you're claiming this shift. Subscribe if you're done dieting on encouragement and ready to train for endurance. Little actions, big echoes. And now, the reveal you felt but haven't named out loud. You are not here to be average. Average never fit your bones. You are here to carry light into places that forgot the sun. You are here to lift ceilings, rewrite patterns, and turn survival skills into strategies that free more than just you. That requires identity. That requires authority. That requires alignment. We're going there now. But that's not the whole story. The reason you felt different from the start is even deeper than you think. Some people stumble into purpose by accident. That's not your biography. Your life reads like design with detours. You recognized early what others couldn't name. That your sensitivity was not weakness. It was antenna. You felt rooms before you understood them. You caught patterns before they screamed. You sensed when a situation was borrowed clothing. You learned to move on. Not because you're flighty, but because you're allergic to cages. There were years when you tried to explain this, and it came out clumsy. You tried to justify your no with essays. You tried to make your yes palatable for people who preferred you smaller. That phase is over. You don't owe the world speeches about why you were born to carry heavy things lightly. You owe your calling your whole heart. That's it. When God writes blueprints, He doesn't ask committees to approve them. And if that language sounds too religious for you, translate it. Deep design outruns public opinion. Identity is not a mood. It's a set point. It's the signature that keeps showing up in your best work and your bravest choices. When you're aligned with identity, you don't chase. You attract what matches your calibration and you outgrow what doesn't. You stop auditioning for rooms you're meant to renovate. You stop shrinking your sentence to fit someone else's paragraph. You quit apologizing for your pace. The slow that looks lazy but is actually meticulous. The fast that looks reckless but is actually prepared. Let's address that feeling of being too much or not enough. Both are lies built from the same brick: comparison. Purpose erases comparison because it clarifies assignment. David didn't need to be taller to topple a giant. He needed to be truer to his tools. Joseph didn't need his brother's approval to interpret a season. He needed integrity in prisons and palaces. What's the translation for you? Stop upgrading what was never broken. Start strengthening what already works. Your voice doesn't need to be louder. It needs to be clearer. Your strategy doesn't need to be trendier. It needs to be truer. Identity impacts rhythm. The right identity creates sustainable pace. You stop sprinting in guilt, and you start striding in grace. You stop drowning in projects because the ones you keep are the ones that keep you. You stop juggling to impress, and start pruning to bear fruit. Fruit is not performance, it's evidence. Evidence ends arguments. There's also this: the different you felt wasn't isolation, it was consecration. Set apart for something specific. The set apart life looks strange from the outside. Early nights, early mornings, fewer circles, deeper roots. You trade applause for accuracy, hype for health, speed for stamina. It's the opposite of flashy. It's ridiculously effective. Write this down. Yes, now I won't dilute my design to decorate someone else's comfort. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs your note. Hold it. Let it ring. Your note heals frequencies. Chaos can't. That's why you've frustrated darkness your entire life. You're tuned to a higher key. You're tuned to a higher key. And that's why the pits, betrayals, and detours you faced weren't detours at all. They were classrooms. Let's talk about that forge. Pain without purpose becomes poison. Pain with purpose becomes power. The difference is processing. You didn't just feel hurt. You learned it. You didn't just endure loss. You studied it until it handed you the syllabus it tried to hide. That's why you're dangerous to despair now. You can recognize its camouflage. You no longer call temporary seasons permanent names. You refuse to assign eternity to episodes. There's a subtle temptation to retell old wounds so often they become personality. You chose differently. You told your story for healing, not for housing. You moved through. You built boundaries that honor your empathy without letting it bleed out. That's elite emotional fitness. It lets you love people without losing yourself, forgive without re-entering unsafe spaces, and help without becoming a human battery pack for everyone else's chaos. Preparation taught you patterns. You noticed how fear speaks sometimes, like thunder, sometimes like logic. You learned that doubt often uses the voice of someone you respect, which is why you built an inner court of truth that can examine any opinion, no matter how polished, and still choose what aligns with peace. You began treating your attention like currency. You stopped financing your distractions. Let's translate ancient frameworks into modern moves. Joseph's pit to palace looks like this in your world. Projects that look dead suddenly. Makes sense, because time matured your understanding. Relationships that felt like exits become doorways, because forgiveness reset your sightline. Skills you practiced in anonymity. Writing, systems, compassion, strategy. Now feel like a toolkit you can deploy anywhere. David's field to throne modernizes as well. Hidden seasons, sharpened aim, and now you can land solutions with fewer tries. You require less noise to create more signal. That's mastery. Preparation also taught you discipline in 3 essentials. Words. You speak life on purpose. You starve spirals by refusing to narrate them. You don't deny reality. You define response. When anxiety tries to draft your script, you edit it mid-sentence. You learned replacements. I'm overwhelmed becomes I'm prioritized. I'm stuck becomes I'm strategic. It's too late becomes it's right on time for who I'm becoming. Windows. You protect your morning windows and your mind windows. You keep the first hour unpolluted. No doom scroll, no chaos download. You seed it with gratitude, a written line of truth, and one needle-moving action. You also control what plays on the inner theater. If a thought wouldn't look right on a billboard with your name on it, it doesn't get a long lease in your mind. Walls. Healthy walls are not prisons. They're guardrails. You don't let emergency personalities convert every moment into a siren. Urgent for them is not always essential for you. You stopped renting rooms in your calendar to people who don't pay in respect. That shift alone recovers months of life. Here's a practice that helped thousands posture patterned promise. First posture, breathe, shoulders down, head level. Second pattern, name the repeating script. I always panic at launch. I ghost hard tasks. Third, promise. Replace it with a written measurable counter. I do the hard thing first 10 minutes daily. I launch ugly, then iterate. Posture interrupts panic. Pattern gives clarity. Promise gives path. And when opposition returned, and it did, you noticed it didn't hold the same power. That's maturity. The storm got loud. You got quiet. The room got crowded. You got focused. People misunderstood. You stayed kind without becoming available for misuse. You are no longer auditioning. You are assigned. Which brings us to the pivot point. Most people miss breakthroughs and set a date on the calendar. It sets a doorway called now. Breakthrough rarely arrives with confetti. It arrives as clarity you can describe in one sentence, and courage you can demonstrate in one step. The sentence might sound like, I build what helps people breathe again. I turn confusion into systems. I write words that stop spirals. I solve problems that free time. Simple sentences carry power because they prune performance. The step, it's small enough to do today and strategic enough to move the story. Send the email. Draft the outline. Make the call. Launch the page. Ask for the meeting. Clean the desk. Order the book. Book the consult. Put $25 into the future account. 10 tiny moves beat one mythical big move every time. Drip by drip fills the cistern. Here's where declaration matters. Not performative, not mystical. Intentional. Your words are steering wheels. If you keep announcing I'm behind, you will find a way to be. If you keep declaring I'm late, your brain will sabotage punctuality to keep the story consistent. Start saying I'm right on schedule. Start saying I follow through. Start saying I'm trustworthy to my own vision. Language isn't magic, it's management. It manages your focus and your follow through. If this is hitting home, stamp it. Drop 777 in the comments as your covenant with momentum. Like and subscribe so you don't do this alone. Community accelerates growth and keeps you honest. And share this with the one friend whose eyes have the same tired fire you had a year ago. Your share becomes someone else's starting line. Let's address a common fear. What if I move and it's not perfect? It won't be. That's the point. Perfectionism is procrastination in a tuxedo. It keeps you applauded for potential while starving you of progress. Progress feels awkward at first. Launches wobble. First drafts creak. Early reps sting. But momentum is loyal to movers, not imaginers. Be a mover. You don't need 10 confirmations to start. You need one clear yes and one clean next step. The yes you already feel. The next step sits within arm's reach. Put it on paper. Time box it. 10 minutes beats 0 minutes. 10 minutes daily beats 3 heroic hours once a month. When it's hard, lower the bar and repeat the rep. The win is identity consistent motion. Breakthrough is present tense when identity, integrity and initiative link arms. Identity says, this is who I am and what I was born to build. Integrity says, I will do what I said I sept do, especially when no one is clapping. Initiative says, I refuse to wait for perfect weather. I said I'll plant now and let the sky handle the rain. Hold this triad and doors behave differently. Emails land, rooms open. The right names learn yours. Not because you begged, but because you built. The path rises to meet consistent feet. Finally, a promise you need to hear. You are not late. You are layered. Layers look slow from the outside and invincible from the inside. That's you now. Layered, ready, steady. The hinge has turned. The door is ajar. Walk. Next, we shift from momentum to mandate, authority and assignment. This is where your light stops asking permission and simply arrives. Here's the truth. You're not just built to receive blessings. You're built to carry authority. Blessing sustains you. Authority transforms what's around you. And authority isn't about a title or applause. It's not about holding microphones or collecting followers. It's about carrying presence. Quiet, undeniable presence that changes a room the second you walk in. Light doesn't negotiate with darkness. It doesn't announce itself or wait for permission. It just shows up. And shadows don't get a vote. That's you. The authority you carry isn't loud, it's steady. It doesn't need to brag because it's too busy building. It doesn't need to argue because it's too consistent to be ignored. Here's Zips what authority looks like in practice. You set boundaries that hold even when they make people uncomfortable. You choose discipline over drama, clarity over chaos, peace over panic. You replace guilt with gratitude and excuses with execution. You speak declarations that recalibrate your inner atmosphere. I am aligned. I am chosen. I am equipped. I am consistent. The world may not clap at first, but authority doesn't need claps. Authority produces fruit, and fruit is undeniable. You don't need to convince people of an apple tree. when they can see the apples. Think of David. When the giant fell, no one argued about whether or not the boy was chosen. They saw it. Authority is visible in results, not resumes. Think of Esther. When she walked into the king's court, her courage shifted history. Authority isn't a crown you put on. It's the weight of obedience you carry in your bones. Here's your assignment. Stop waiting to be ready. You're already responsible. Step into the call. Start the project. Write the first page. Pray the bold prayer. Lead the room. Mentor the kid. Launch the channel. Host the group. Authority grows when it's used, not stored. And remember, your authority is not arrogance. It's alignment. It's humility, wearing steel. It's love wearing armor. It's grace with a backbone. But authority without stewardship is wasted. And that leads us straight into overflow, the responsibility that comes with abundance. Let's clear something up. Overflow is not just about money. If all you think of is cash, you'll miss the bigger picture. Overflow is multidimensional. It's peace, when panic is cheaper. It's health that no paycheck can buy. It's friendships that energize you instead of draining you. It's opportunities that align without manipulation. Yes, finances are part of it, but they're not the whole. Think of overflow like this. God doesn't just fill your cup, He makes sure it spills. Why? Because what spills isn't wasted, it's for everyone around you. Your life becomes a source. People drink encouragement from your presence. They find wisdom in your words. They feel safe in your silence. But here's the key. Overflow requires stewardship. Abundance without structure becomes chaos. This is why many lose blessings they never learn to hold them. Imagine water pouring into a cracked jar. The supply is endless, but the vessel leaks. That's why preparation mattered. God was sealing your cracks, teaching you stewardship before sending supply. Here's steps how you steward overflow. Clarity. Write the vision. Dreams without documentation dissolve into dust. When it's written, it can be built. Discipline. Treat the small as sacred. If you mismanage little, you'll mismanage much. Show up to the small assignments, like they're palaces. Generosity. Overflow is meant to spill. Be open-handed. Give encouragement, resources, time, money, prayer. Whatever you give multiplies. Think of Joseph again. He wasn't just promoted to power. He was given the responsibility to steward an entire nation's food supply. Overflow isn't just for you. It's through you. Imagine your future with abundance in every lane. Financial margin to bless your family and fund vision. Health so vibrant it restores your energy to build legacy. Relationships healed to the point where love feels easy again. Opportunities that find you instead of you begging for them. That's overflow. And it's not fantasy. It's design. But overflow requires boldness to claim it. That's why you can't sit back passively. Align your actions with your assignment. Speak overflow. Walk in overflow. Live like the floodgates are already open. But when overflow shows up, so does resistance. Let's talk about what happens when your acceleration collides with opposition. Here's something most won't tell you. Resistance is confirmation, not condemnation. If nobody's pushing back, you might still be on the sidelines. But when you step into your lane, resistance shows up like clockwork. That doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you touched a live wire. Opposition comes in 3 disguises. Old voices, people who still see the you from 5 chapters ago. They'll try to keep you boxed in the past they're comfortable with. Inner whispers, doubt disguised as logic, fear disguised as caution, procrastination disguised as planning. External blocks, systems, structures or setbacks that seem immovable. But acceleration doesn't stop because of resistance. In fact, it multiplies under it. Think of Daniel one night in a lion's den, the next in a king's court. Think of Nehemiah, mocked, threatened, but still finished the wall. Opposition couldn't cancel acceleration. It only highlighted it. Acceleration feels strange. For years, progress was inch by inch. Then suddenly it feels like miles in a day. People ask, how did it happen so fast? But you know the truth. It didn't. It was slow and secret. The fruit just became visible in public. And here's the secret to sustaining acceleration community. Lone wolf speed is fast but fragile. Covenant community is slower at first, but unstoppable over time. One can be overpowered, but a cord of 3 strands isn't quickly broken. Who are your strands? Who holds your arms up when you're tired? Who tells you you're off track when hype blinds you? Don't confuse cheerleaders with coaches. Both are needed. Cheerleaders clap. Coaches correct. Find both. Build both. Because acceleration without alignment burns out, but acceleration with alignment builds legacy. And speaking of legacy, that's the real destination of everything you've survived, stewarded and accelerated. You are not just here to survive your time, you're here to shape it. Legacy is not tomorrow, it's today's decisions compounded. Every act of discipline, every word of encouragement, every seed of generosity is stacking into something your children's children will feel. Legacy is proof that you lived beyond yourself. It's buildings you'll never enter, people you'll never meet, nations you'll never see, all touched by what you carried faithfully today. Abraham's faith blessed nations. David's songs still heal centuries later. Esther's courage saved generations. Their legacy was not wealth, it was obedience multiplied. And now it's your turn. You've been forged, tested, aligned, and entrusted. The world isn't waiting for another echo, it's waiting for your voice, your note, your movement. Here sips your charge. Lead boldly, even when crowds doubt. Steward faithfully, even when no one notices. Speak truth, even when whispers try to silence you. Shine light, even when shadows laugh. Your reign won't look like a throne, but it will feel like authority in action, influence with humility, leadership with love, strategy with service. And the best part? You're not doing this alone. God has already gone before you. The mountains are being leveled, the gates are breaking, the rivers are parting, the way is open. So what do you do now? You step. One step today, one step tomorrow, one step again. And soon, you'll look back and realize you built something eternal. If this resonated, mark the moment. Comment 777 to declare alignment. Hit like, subscribe, and share. Not for me, but for the countless souls who need this word before they quit. This message found you because you're ready. Now help it find the next one. You survived the fire. You braved the storm. You outlasted the pit. And now, you reign. Not someday. Now, step boldly. Chosen one. The world is waiting.